Welcome, dive buddies. This is Scuba Goat Under the Sea, the podcast for the inquisitive diver.
Hey there, dive buddies, and welcome to Season 4 of the Scuba Goat podcast. I'm excited to kick it off with Dan Johnson, co-owner and captain of the MV Oceania, which is based in Papua New Guinea. Dan explores the vast scuba diving playground, which is known for its incredible diving opportunities and unique marine life, based out of Walindi Resort, New Britain. And today, he shares his insights and experiences from captaining the MV Oceania and diving in such a beautiful location, his professional journey that brings him to PNG, and what he has planned for the future of the MV Oceania. Get ready for an adventure-filled season of the Scuba Goat podcast.
I followed you on Scuba Goat with the Oceania webpage. Facebook page. I actually got admin to it, so I'm now a fully updated administrator of the Oceania Facebook page, which is fairly scary because I have absolutely no idea how to use Facebook. So I'm now petrified I'm going to press a button and delete everything that everybody has ever done on it. So that's fun.
Mate, I wouldn't even try getting down that rabbit hole. It's I've got Facebook for Nomadic Scuba and obviously for Scuba Goat. And then I've got the Instagram and Meta and everything. And it's nothing short of a fucking nightmare, quite frankly. Horrible.
Living in Papua New Guinea, you might as well live in a cave. With technology, you know. If you can get internet, well, yeah, it depends on how cloudy it is and what's going on in the world at the time. How many earthquakes I've had recently? Always a good one,
mate. When I was living at Tufi, the cell tower that was the only cell tower near us was diesel generator ran. So the locals ran out of diesel and thought, fuck it, I need a bit of fuel. They go nick it and that's it. No internet.
No. We completely understand that. The bloke next door to the resort who had the tower on his property would sell the diesel for the tower to the local PMV cars coming up and down the road. You'd see him nip down to his place and then he'd be there, fill them up with the Digicel fuel, and they'd bugger off, and then we'd lose all phone reception for a week.
You've got to love it, haven't you?
It's special, hey. It's real special. So what were you doing over in Tufi? You weren't managing it or something?
No. There was the resort manager and his wife, and then I was running the dive operations and boat side of things.
Oh, yeah. What was the name of the resort manager at the time? It wasn't Simon, was it?
No. Simon was long gone. I know Simon, though.
Nice guy.
I had, I had Tony Honey's brother was in looking after the place when I got there. And then Brian came in with Roya a couple of weeks after I got there, and he took over as the manager of the resort.
Okay, yeah, no, I've not met them.
A good giggle. They like a glass of red, and
doesn't everybody? Doesn't always like you in the morning. Yeah, no, awesome. Okay, yeah. So how long were you there for?
I think the visa was for a year, but because of all the political faff and getting the paperwork, I think I was 10.5 months or just short of 11 months. It felt like a year though.
And definitely would do that.
Yeah, it was awesome, to be honest. It was really, really good. But, at that time I was a single bloke, and there was only one bar, which was the resort bar. And if there was no guests in, everyone would bugger off home. So, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, you're sitting around with a thumb up your arse and not a lot to do.
And no internet.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was on the professional side of things, it was absolutely fucking awesome because The owner, Tony, when when he first took me on, I was keen as mustard to get out there and have a look for new reefs. And that's exactly what he said. If there's no one around, or if you get the opportunity,
take the boat out,
go and find some more. Spread the word, get as much as you can. Yeah, so we me and the local DMs, we went out and explored another 12 reefs, and it was quite nice to map it out with the boys and get all the coordinates done, but also to put their the local family names on the reefs.
Okay.
Which was quite a big deal for the boys. It was it was nice. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Have you been there yet?
Yes, I have been there. Unfortunately, I heard what they dredged the harbour. To me, I was there before they dredged it, and I still reckon that is one of the top muck dives anywhere in the world. Definitely in Papua New Guinea. I was blown away by it.
Dredge the harbour.
Mm-hmm.
You mean where the dive shop is?
Yeah, so you got the little dive shop down at the bottom of the wharf there. You had the PT boat down at 50 metres, whatever. Had all of those old drums from the Second World War, all the 44-gallon drums, the Land Cruiser or the Jeep, whatever it was, up in the shallows. All the mandarin fish there and everything. That entire area has been dredged.
When was that done?
2-3 years ago, apparently.
Say again, sorry?
2 or 3 years ago, apparently.
Oh, really? Fuck.
Yeah, and apparently...
Yeah, I used to jump in there, and in fact, there's a very, very good photographer from Singapore. Shout out to Catherine Liu. She would jump in there. She was there for a week, and every single night she'd be in underneath the wharf, and she'd be down for hour, 2 hours, just getting all the macro. It was just
mandarin
phenomenal
fish
for nighttime macro.
Absolutely unbelievable dive, and they dredged it.
Yeah,
it broke my heart when I found out.
The PT boat actually, I think the PT boat had actually disappeared into the sands. I went down to take Kevin Green, the captain of Taka. Mm-hmm. Jumped in there to take him down to see it in 2019, and it was gone. So it was already, the only photos I got of it were of the ribs and the skeleton with the
gun,
the gun on the top.
Man.
Yeah,
but that's
completely
all gone. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's a shocker. Dredging it. Bloody hell.
Yeah. Apparently they dredged it. This is all second-hand information. I've not had the opportunity to jump back in there in the last few years. I think the last time I visited Tufi was back in, 2012 or so about a decade ago. Yeah.
I love it.
Beautiful
and
location.
the outer reefs. I mean, Well, I got told about the leucistic hammerhead. The rumours of, and I was
always kept your eyes open.
Did
you see it?
Captured some video footage.
Awesome! Nice one.
Yeah,
very cool.
And it's not just one animal either. I counted 4 individuals, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Did you get yourself over to the Jacob?
I did. Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Brian and I went and dived it. Probably about midway through my term, and just to get some footage. And lo and behold, we go down with the camera, and both cameras go tits up. So unfortunately, it was experience only, but it was and is an exceptional wreck, and it's one that I want to revisit and get some proper data, but get some proper footage done. So one day, but it was because of the where it lies. I mean, to everyone who's listening, the SS Jacob was a merchant ship in the war that sank, and it's huge, and it lies offshore away from all the reefs, so it's just on sand, and I think the seabed is at around about 57, 58 meters, something like this, maybe even a little bit deeper. But because it's out on the sand on its own, the quantity of fish that it attracts is insane. I couldn't believe it. Huge schools of literally everything you could think of. Apart from the ticking the bucket list items like whale sharks and mantas and stuff, but huge barracudas and massive shoals of reef fish. Absolutely awesome. Have you had the opportunity to dive it as well?
No, unfortunately not. That is one of the dives that I've been trying and work out in my schedule of the way of just skimming past it. And the problem is, as you said, it's 58, 60 metres to the sand there. And as a recreational dive vessel, we're all diving on nitrox 32%. So, you head down to your 40 metres, you're sort of pushing your boundaries as it is. So, unfortunately not. But I imagine it's going to be on the same par as the Ongala, except bigger and better in every possible manner.
It's huge. It's ridiculously huge. I loved it. But even, for recreational depths, I can remember, slowly coming back up, and at around 30, you can still see the entire ship. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
What about the blackjack? Have you managed to do the blackjack?
Yes, they took me down to the blackjack when I was there. It's a very long boat ride from Tufi. Is the main thing I remember about it. But it's a long ride from anywhere. It seems to be, it's right in the middle of Tuwali and Tufi, isn't it? So, you've got a long ride either direction. The funniest thing was, during COVID, the Oceania went there. Of course, I wasn't on the boat, and they all went down there. They've done several dives on it. So my dive guides, of course, know it better than I do. And it's one of these dives. I jumped in, spent 10, 15 minutes on it going, ah! And then came back. And then, of course, my bloody boat goes down there, and everyone jumps in and has a epic time on it. So, again, it's to be revisited. Dom Silcock's been trying to convince me to take the boat there. I might swing past it because we're doing a one-way from Milne Bay, which Don's on, Milne Bay round to Rabaul. And so there's a very good chance I'm going to throw that in as one of the early morning dives type of thing, and give everyone 28%, something like that, to just make it a bit more accessible to the divers. Go up and have some fun.
Well, if you need an expert dive guide for that particular dive, I'm more than willing to come back up, seeing as I'm the owner of the best video footage that there's currently out there for the blackjack.
Oh, true. Okay, yeah, all right. There's. I'm trying to think of Don's friend. He's doing all the cinematography of it, doing all 3D exposures and everything. Have you seen any of the shots Don's recently been doing with his friend? His name escapes me.
Not the 3D stuff, but I am catching up with Don next week over a few beers. So he did tell me he's got a lot to talk about. So I'm sure that's filling me in on all that kind of stuff.
It's amazing. It truly is. I'm trying to get him up for a charter to do the Rex in Rabaul, and because for what they're doing, obviously they want a highlight if they're going to charter the boat. And it's like, we've got to go down to the blackjack. It's like, have a look at Rabaul. We've got the twin tanks. There's plane wrecks everywhere. If you go down to the blackjack, you have the one wreck, and that's just the blackjack. And yes, it's an awesome wreck. But then we have a dozen plus wrecks in Rabaul, which we can easily access, and I think would be absolutely awesome for what they're doing.
Yeah, I had. There's another good mate of mine, Miko Parsi. He's based out in Thailand and was part of the Thai Cave Rescue. And we were talking about coming up. or he was asking me about doing the blackjack some years ago, just before COVID, actually, and that's all 3D. What's the phrase for the photography?
Okay.
Let's have a look. I should know it by now. I've had so many people on the podcast talking about it. I'll find it. Yeah, but he was asking me about it because that's exactly what he does, and he's doing a lot of deep wreck exploration and wreck finding, and this is the stuff that they do. They go down and do all of this photography so that they can get the 3D element of what it's actually looking like.
Yeah,
in a flat image.
And then they do all the layers, and I know they were up doing the mini sub, the top of New Island, and some of the images they've got from it are just phenomenal. That's what
he was. He was just up there recently doing that, wasn't he?
Yeah, literally before he came over and saw me at the end of or in the middle of December. So we've been there at the beginning of December doing it.
And let's take it back a little bit. How you took all these steps through to where you are now. So you say, was it 2015 you became an instructor?
2004.
2004
became an instructor. Yep. 15 years now, is it? Yeah, something. 16, 17 years as an instructor. Not very good at maths.
Okay.
I need fingers.
That's all right. Neither one. So, where were you, or where did you learn, actually? Take it right back to the start. Where did you first jump in the water and give it a go?
It was a very... so my first time on scuba was in a swimming pool in England many, many years ago, just as I don't even think I was a teenager at the time. But I did all my open water training, my advanced, all in Thailand before it became popular.
Okay.
That was, I was Koh Phangan.
Koh Phangan?
Yeah, Koh Phangan, that was it. There was only 3 dive centres on the island when I learned to dive there. I think it's now got more dive centres than people, from what I understand. I've not been back in a long time.
Are you sure it was Koh Phangan or Koh Tao?
Koh Tao. Yes, Koh Tao. Koh Phangan.
Yeah.
Koh Samui's the party islands.
Nope.
Huh?
Koh Samui's the one that's all built up with all the modern stuff. Then you've got Koh Phangan, which is where you go for the full moon party, and everyone gets fucked up.
Yeah.
And then you've got Koh Tao, which is where everyone goes to go diving and get fucked up.
Thank you, that is me. the latter option, yeah. Koh Tao, thank you. There you go. It was a long time ago. I was on my honeymoon, actually. My first honeymoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was very... My first wife was very, very kind and let me go and do my dive course. Unfortunately, she was a non-swimming asthmatic, and that's probably what pushed me to become a full-time instructor. Was I knew after I broke up with her, it was the last place I'd ever meet her. So far it's worked pretty well.
Do you remember which dive shop you were at?
Big Blue.
No.
Yep. And
seriously?
Yeah, Big Blue. There was you had Buddha View, Big Blue, and then there was one on the opposite side of the island, which I can't remember the name of. But I was Big Blue. I actually had a picture of me many, many years ago with all of the guys in the background in the shop. Wait there 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
Well, I've lost your video stream at the moment, anyway.
Oh, that's cool. That's okay.
Yeah.
This is.
Yes, Big Blue is a big part of my heart. I was permanent staff there.
Oh, true. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's.
Can you see anybody there in the picture?
No, I've lost your video feed, mate.
Oh, fantastic! That's a terrible shame. Okay, so there was I think it was Swedish from memory, Stefan or something. And
you're back.
Oh, okay. There you go. So, do you recognise anyone there?
It's a bit blurry. I can't make it out. Is that's a tall, dark fella in the middle at the back, isn't it?
The tall, good-looking one with the bleached hair, that's me. The one with the red hair, that's my first wife. And that fella there, he was, I believe, was the owner or manager of the shop at the time.
Okay.
This would have been going back, oh, blimey. I don't know. How many years ago was this? When I first train up. When did I first get married? It would have been late 90s. 1998, maybe 97. Yeah, around then.
Yeah. Well, the guy that the main owner of Big Blue, Michael, he's a Swedish guy, and he apparently what he did was he visited Koh Tao, fell in love with the place, legged it back home, got a small home, got a small loan, and went straight back to Koh Tao and opened up Big Blue. So he was I'm not entirely sure if they were second or third, but they were in the first three of the dive shops.
Yeah, I think WWII was the first one.
No, the other way around. I think Koh Tao Divers was the original, which is the one that Miko now owns. And I think WWII and Big Blue opened up more or less relatively the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Michael, bless him. He passed away this time last year, unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah. Lovely fella. And he went on to be a very, very successful businessman with lots of other businesses. And even with the pandemic hitting, all that kind of thing, the very last thing that he would allow to disappear off his portfolio would be Big Blue. His heart was always in that original shop, which is fantastic.
Yeah. That's nuts, eh? Yeah. That's going back a few years, though.
Yeah. That's a very small world. You know, this podcast bringing us together, never spoken to you about any kind of your diving background, and lo and behold, you learn in the place that I used to live and work and love. It's fantastic.
Yeah, okay. No, cool. There you go. It's 6 degrees of separation, isn't it?
It is. It gets smaller every day.
Really.
So after Big Blue and kicking out the first wife and becoming an instructor, did you teach back over this way, or how did you end up in PNG?
So I came to Australia, did my dive masters and instructors, worked for what was the company? Pretty much every company in Cairns, actually. And I jumped between boats and always having fun. But my main employer would have been Deep Sea Divers Den. And that was where I was doing a lot of my teaching. Then I went over to Pro Dive, and then I got onto the Liveaboards, and that's where I really enjoyed myself. In between that, I shot over to Mexico for a little bit of time in Playa del Carmen, where I did a lot of my tech diving, or cave diving and everything. Started a small dive business there, which didn't go quite to plan. Couple of things in the life I've learned is never trust a fat Mexican, and they're just not meant to be fat. If they're fat, they're ripping someone off. And the other one was like a 1960s porn star, big moustache and everything. And that just went horribly wrong. Took me and my mate for quite a bit of money. And but we struggled on, and I believe he's still going. Reef Quest Divers out in Playa del Carmen. If anyone's around or over there, say good day. His name's Steve. Say good day to him for me. And I sort of cracked it after about 15 months and decided to call it a day. It was just a bit too hard there. Had a lot of partying. Very cheap drinks and spring break, all the rest of it. It was playing up to the wrong side of my personality, let's put it that way. And so I came back to Australia, where I met my second wife, and we ended up, I was working out on the old Nimrod Explorer out on the Coral Sea, doing Bougainville, Osprey and the Ribbon Reefs and those runs. And then we decided, let's get a job together. And we put our resume out in the world. And long story short, we've ended up at Papua New Guinea at Walindi Resort. And
nice.
I remember Max saying to us, it's like, we went there, as you do when you first rock up to PNG. She arrived a week earlier than me. I think they were using my passport to prop up the table. So my work visa didn't come through at the same time, obviously. And so I remember my first experience coming into Papua New Guinea it felt very surreal to me back then, back in 2008 this would be. And, I got off the plane and it's like, right, okay, this is interesting, in Hoskins. And the bus has come, picked me up and driven us out the airport. And as we're driving down the road, I've looked out to the window. I kid you not, we were 400 or 500 metres out of the airport gates. And there would have been a kid, probably 6, maybe 7 years old. And he's standing there with a bush knife, holding it like it's a broadsword. How do you imagine the old knights to be in the mid-century type of thing, holding this bush knife like this? And I've just gone, oh my God, we're not in Oz anymore, Dorothy, are we? And that was my first inception impression of Papua New Guinea, was this child with this giant bush knife, which I would never have been allowed to play with as a kid, probably for good reasons. And that is how I ended up in Papua New Guinea. Went there, worked for Max Benjamin at the Walindi Resort as a dive manager for 5 years. And we asked him, like, what are you looking for? What would you want from us when we got there? He went, a year would be good. And 5 years later, we said goodbye and parted ways. And not in a bad way. Obviously, I'm back there now. Then obviously my career progressed. I came back to Australia, did all my tickets, engineering ticket, captain's license and everything else. And ended up driving the Tacker and the reef boats out of Cairns. When they sold the Tacker, they basically sold me with the boat. Been there for 2 years working as the engineer and as a first mate, and they went, right, we'll buy the boat, and can we have him? And they basically went, yeah, sure. So I sailed the boat over there and spent just under 2 years on the Tacker and Solomons, which was an adventure in itself. So, after coming towards the end of the 2 years, I got the phone call from Max and Alan. It's, we've got a great idea. And it's like, great. well, what is it? How would you like your own boat? I was like, yeah. So this is why I'm here on your show now. I said yes at the wrong time. It was about 2 years before the pandemic hit. So I had a year to spend a lot of money and then about a year to make a little bit of money back, and then 3 years or 2.5 years of pandemic, which would hurt any new business. But we made it through thanks to a lot of hard work from the guys in Papua New Guinea, a great team that's behind the Oceania. Big thank you to all of those guys who made it possible for us to still be here and operating.
Yeah. And we've also got to give a big shout out. I picked up on there Max Benjamin. Bless him, he's passed away now as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But I think in the diving element of Papua New Guinea, you've got to stick him right up there on the pedestal as one of the founding fathers of why people go to Papua New Guinea to dive now.
100%. Unfortunately, he passed away about 3-4 months into the pandemic. Nothing COVID related or anything like that. But yeah, and that was, timing is everything. So he passed away. But truthfully, the marketing, he wasn't just there talking about Walindi. He would never talk about Walindi per se. He would always talk about Papua New Guinea. He went over there. Oh God, Cecily will shoot me if I get these numbers wrong. Approximately 40, maybe 50 years ago, as a Didyman, so an agricultural officer. He worked for New Britain Palm Oil, and him and Cecily bought a plot of land. I think it's about 200 hectares or something like that, where the Walindi Resort now sits. And from what I understand, they were off diving in the Red Sea, saying, because the Red Sea was the best place in the world to go diving, and the pair of them are there going, we've got better out on the reefs in front of us than what they've got here. And they really did. And that was when they changed everything and decided to become a dive destination. And his years of hard work and promoting the country, as well as promoting, obviously, Walindi Resort, was, just unbelievable. A very clever man, very passionate about the reefs. He's one of the reasons Papua New Guinea has environmentally friendly moorings throughout the entire country. You would have seen them yourself, maybe even put a few of them in with the big drilling machine, which there's 2 of them in the country, which goes around. And if someone needs to put a few new moorings in, you take it out, you drill a hole, you stick a steel pin in and fill it up with cement. And so you never have to drop anchor anywhere. So the entirety of the reef system is looked after and managed unlike anywhere else in the world. It's a fantastic system, and that is thanks to Max. The whole Papua New Guinean Dive Association was founded by Max. And unlike so many other countries where you have a lot of operators who sort of butt heads, Papua New Guinea is not one of those places. It's given us freedom to roam on the liveaboards with no one. Oh, there's feedback.
Is that? Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear that. Yep.
Okay, while we sort out that annoying background noise, let me just proudly announce that the Scuba Goat podcast has been ranked among the top 3% of podcasts on Listen Notes, a platform that hosts over 3 million shows. This is a huge accomplishment and a reflection of the hard work and dedication that goes into producing the show, and of course, the support of all of our listeners. So I want to express my gratitude to all of you who tune in, share our episodes, and leave us with ratings and reviews. Quite honestly, we couldn't do this, or I couldn't do this, without knowing that people want to listen to the content we produce. So thank you to all of our guests, and more importantly, all of you listeners out there, you absolute bloody legends.
We're talking about the late departed Max B.
Yeah, bless him. I never, unfortunately...
The legend in his own lunch break.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to meet him, but I've certainly done a fair bit of chatting with the staff at Walindi, with sending customers up there through my little travel company. But yeah, it's a shame. I would have loved to have met him.
He was a very passionate man and a very intelligent man, to be said. yeah, and it was all very much about Papua New Guinea and the diving that we have there. The one thing you could always upset him with, if you ever mentioned the no word, which was bleaching, he would go completely nuts. And it used to drive him mad that NOAA would always put up each year, mass bleaching event. And we never had any bleaching. We had a few signs of stresses here and there, completely natural. But no one took into account that the ocean, the Bismarck Sea, is the warmest ocean in the world. It runs on average between 27 and 33 degrees, as a year-round temperature. So yeah, it used to drive him nuts. Yeah. And a strange fact about Mr. B was that he was actually a honourable Mr. B.
Go on.
He was, I think he was knighted or something for an Order of Papua New Guinea.
Oh, really?
He never mentioned it. He was that was. But that was Max all round. He was never one to blow his own trumpet type of thing.
Yeah. I think that's where you find the best people. People with humility, high levels of humility, are the ones that are the best people to be around.
100%. Where I just humiliate myself regularly. Is that the same sort of thing?
Yeah. Bang on, mate. Bang on.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Oh dear. Well, let's catch up from what we were talking about. So, Mr. B, he got in touch with you and about MV Oceania. Yeah,
well, at the time it was so Max and Alan, my other business partner, decided that they wanted to run they believed the market was strong enough for a second vessel to go into the marketplace in Papua New Guinea.
Yep.
They tried once before with the Star Dancer and being a franchise and everything else that entails, ran into trouble with that. So I got the phone call and they said, we'd like you to come over and be a partner in starting a new dive venture. And so that's how the Oceania came about. They weren't interested in doing it with anybody else, so that was fantastic. They said that I had the right qualifications and was just mad enough to actually possibly accept an opportunity like this. Basically, I think my sort of qualifications were I went into business, or I would go into business with the two maddest people I've ever met in my life. I could dive, I could build, and I could drive boats.
And you're slightly mad yourself, so it all goes together.
Yes, I know. There is definitely a degree of madness to work in a place like Papua New Guinea, as you know yourself. If you aren't mad, but when you go there, you will be mad by the time you leave.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be said that Papua New Guinea is very much an emerging country still, and there's a lot of people that want to try and escalate or accelerate that modernisation of the country, and I'm massively against it. I think that the beauty, not only the physical beauty of the country, but the beauty of being in Papua New Guinea is that it's decades behind where we are now, which gives it that charisma. And its unique qualities. I absolutely fucking love it, and I don't want it to change.
I agree. To me, being there, every day presents its own challenges. Nothing is boring. You don't get up at 9, come home at 5, doing the same stuff. You get up when you get up, and you go to bed when it's all done. And it could be something which is so simple to achieve in Australia, but yet you don't have the resources, you don't have the technology, you don't necessarily have the training in place to make these things doable. So you make it work, and I love that challenge about it. As I said, it's awesome, and it's very challenging. Logistically, running a business in Papua New Guinea is a nightmare. You know, everybody thinks, okay, it's Papua New Guinea, we're a developing country, things should be a lot cheaper. Except Papua New Guinea doesn't make anything. They make billums and grow betel nut and oil palm.
Yeah. And there's also that major factor of logistics of getting all the shit that you want. So you've got your customers that want Wi-Fi and they want long distance range on your boat. Where's the fuel coming from? Where's the connectivity coming from? It all costs. That simple litre of fuel that could be $1 or $2 over here is $4 or $5 over there because it's got to be flown in or boated in by barge.
Everything shipped up there. You know, even O-rings for the dive tanks. You know, here they are 5-6 cents each. For me to get them shipped up to Papua New Guinea, cleared customs, all the rest of it, they double, triple in price just for a simple O-ring, which will burn through so many in a day. You know, that's the simplest thing I could actually think I could pick. You then go on to maintaining a vessel to a high standard and to make sure that everything is always working. Carrying all the spares and the entire basically an entire engine room in a forward cabin, because I can't just come back to port and expect there to be a row of fleet engineers from different companies who will jump on with all the right bits to fix the boat. When I finished the debut show in Germany, I'm going back up there, back up to Papua New Guinea, beginning of February, and relocating the vessel from Kimbe Bay, which is where we're based out of for about 60-70% of the year, down to Milne Bay for 2 months. And that on its own presents a whole new set of challenges because I lose the small support infrastructure that I have at Walindi with logistics, my own vehicle, and the workshop, guys who know everything works on the boat, to a place where I'm away from home for the next 2.5 months with no support. It's fantastic. I've been madly planning this. We've madly planned this trip, and we've got a new generator going in and all sorts. And the hope is that everything holds together for the next 2 months without any problems. If not, then it's trying to get skilled labour in and trying to find people who can actually do the job for you in a completely different part of the country, which doesn't necessarily have the skills that you're chasing or the trade people that you're chasing. And for people that don't know Papua New Guinea, the point A to point B that you're talking about isn't just down the road, is it? What's the crossing time? 82 hours, I think it's going to take me. just a quick overnighter. It's I've got to I run up from Kimbe Bay, run up to Rabaul, which is 24 hours, which is the next town closest to Kimbe, where I'll be swapping out my life rafts, and then from there I take a 62 hour or 60 hour run down to Milne Bay, to arrive there hopefully with a day before the charter starts, so that we can then prep the boat and do a bit of food shopping, announce that we're there, have a chat with the local landowners and everything else that we have to do to get the boat ready and to make sure that things run smoothly for everybody involved. And the last time I was down there, I had to cancel one trip which was the return trip from Milne Bay to Rabaul because of COVID. And
oh, wow.
yeah, that was my very last trip down there. So although I have great memories of Milne Bay, the whole process being down there is still marred by the memory of the world lockdown. And the pandemic.
That's a nice way to start it back up, though, isn't it? From the start back up from the point where it closed.
Oh no, we started up in middle of August the 16th. We started running again. So
Okay.
yeah, we've had some fantastic charters in and around the Kimbe Bay area, running our signatory trips between Fathers and WWII Islands. I've been putting a bit of exploratory work in for my next year's itinerary. Is it next year or the year after, actually? Might be 2024. We're pretty booked this year. Yeah, 2024. I've put a couple of extra charters in where I want to go off and do a bit more exploring. WWIIs and beyond. There's a few islands out there and some sand caves and some very interesting stuff that I've been discovering.
Well, tell you what, before we get on to it, because I want to ask you about your little discoveries and what you got planned. But for, again, people who are listening to this podcast may have not visited Papua New Guinea yet, so let's give them a little bit more of an audible kind of picture of what we're talking about. Now, if I can start on that, I'll say that to get to Papua New Guinea, most people, or all people, are going to have to fly into Port Moresby, which is the main city. And then there's no roads that lead out of Port Moresby, so you've got to fly again to... Yeah. So any of the dive resorts you want to go to, you're going to have to fly again internally. Now, there's a number of ways of doing that, but we don't need to go into that. It's simple. It's a flight. But to where Dan has the vessel and Walindi Resort, you have to fly from Port Moresby up to New Britain, which is, if you look on the atlas, you'll see a larger island more or less directly north of Port Moresby. Would you say that's fair?
Slightly northeast. Yeah, northeast of Port Moresby.
All right, Captain.
Can't help myself, sorry, mate.
It's 0.2 degrees south-southeast of.
A little bit more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, so do you want to take it from there, Dan? You know, if guests fly into Hoskins and meet up with you, Hoskins, sorry, meet up with you guys.
Yeah, okay. So obviously picked up at the airport, run out to the resort, spend a night or two in the resort, check out what they've got going on. I believe you've been to Walindi yourself.
I've not. You know, it's one that
True.
I've tried to go so many times, but for whatever reason, there's always been something that's got in the way as a blocker. It's been a fucking nightmare, and I'm determined to get there. I know I will. In fact, I spoke to Liz Cottrell so many times about coming up there, but never had the opportunity yet.
Well, you know someone who's up there, works up there now, so you still keep in contact. I'm sure we can make something happen.
Hell yeah. I want to run some expeditions up there, mate. That's the thing. I want to be bringing people up there. I did it successfully in 2018. We got like 23 guests came to Tufi with me. So I want to try and do the same for Walindi. Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll make that happen.
Well, the Oceania holds 16 guests, so if you can make that happen, you're more than welcome to book on and say good day.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. As I said, we do a little bit of little bit of the same diving that the resort does, but we by no means get out to all of their sites by any stretch of the imagination. Said they have, I think there's over 40 mooring pins out there. And again, things change over time, and they always have their sort of favourites, set ones, that big pinnacles that they have there with huge amounts of fish around are always a crowd pleaser. The rest of Ireland, if the visibility is good there, it's phenomenal. So We do a couple of those, but realistically for ourselves on the Oceania, we'll be heading out to the Father's Reefs, which is south out of Walindi. We head over to where there's a large volcano, Uluru. I think I've said that right. There's volcano everywhere there. You can throw a stick and hit a volcano. It's a ring of fire for a reason. And I do believe that what we're actually diving on is the edge of a very large volcano from many years ago. There's just sea pinnacles coming out from 1,500 metres of water, or 500 metres of water in places, up to within 4 or 5 metres of the surface. And that's what we're diving on. And the pinnacles, sea mounds, whatever you want to call them. And we get a lot of schools of barracudas, sharks, good action out there. And then we'll spend a few days there. Then we head over to the WWII Islands, and that is again another extinct volcano, and that is northwest of Walindi. Or northwest of Walindi, head out there, and the diving changes completely again, where we get a huge amount of diversity. We do the critter diving, which is sometimes phrased as muck diving, but people are always frightened of that term. So I tried to call it critter diving more than muck diving, because we're not jumping in a muddy puddle as the terminology of muck diving might bring to people's imagination. We're jumping in there and we're going down, checking out for frogfish and the associated critters which live in the area.
And that's so the WWII Islands. That's where the black sand is, isn't it? Black sand dive sites.
Yeah. And that's our black sand, volcanic sand areas. We get some fantastic diving there. Ribbon eels, mantis shrimps, poker stick everywhere. You find them. A lot of frogfish and other bits and pieces, depending on what time of year it is. And, of course, we dived the Lama Shoals, which was named by Jacques Cousteau, which we call by a different name. I'm not sure I'm allowed to mention that the name of it on a podcast, but I'll go for it. You can always edit it out. It's called Cracker Fat. For
Cracker
the Australians listening.
You're going to have to explain that now.
Well, so Alan didn't like the name Lama Shoals, and he jumped in, he had a look at it, he came back out, and he said, blimey, even the jellyfish have stiffies, and named it Cracker Fat. Any Americans listening, you might go by the name of Papa Chubby, I think. I got translated into the other day by a couple of the guests. So, and that site is just magical. And there's lots more sites like that. So I generally we only run 4 dives on the boat a day. That way we get plenty of surface interval. But the 70-minute dives, 4 dives at 70 minutes, we give good 2 to 3 hour surface interval between each dive. And we feed you in between every dive. What dive boat doesn't? And it's a good experience. We like the way it runs. So we'll do a couple of big fish dives in the morning, and then onto our critter diving in the afternoon, where we may open up the dive deck depending on how people feel, and we'll just say, go for it. We'll see you back for dinner.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, if you're going to be doing the pelagic diving in the morning, and then people are going to be running low on NDLs for the afternoon, come get the critter diving done, and then those people who don't like the critters can start their G&T while the sun's going down early, can't they?
Yeah, pretty much, and we get a fantastic sunset there too. So it's always nice.
I can only imagine. Yeah. So let's have a little bit more about the boat. Where's she come from? How old is she? What size is she? How many people can you take? How many chefs have you got on board? How many dunnies have you got to share? Give us the gossip.
Okay, well, here we go. Some shameless self-publicity. So the boat was built in 2001 and was refitted back in 2017 when we bought it from a private bloke. My mate Mark Tickell. Actually, I was in Egypt looking at other boats to bring across, and then my friend Mark decided to sell his. So came over, had a look, and went, "Yeah, we can work with this." I then spent the next 8 months gutting it completely and turning it into what she is today. So what she is today is a 8-cabined vessel. We have 5 twin cabins, 3 queen cabins. The cabins are all the same. They're all en suite. You don't have to sit on the toilets to take a shower, which I always find an advantage. Everyone is ocean view, and the twins all have wardrobes in, and they're very comfortable. And refitted with individual aircon in every cabin.
Nice.
So you can set it to the temperature that you want to be at and not the temperature which the Eskimo in the end cabin wants to be at. Yeah. So that's and that's all on the dive deck level. We then go up a level. Internal staircase takes you up to the saloon area, where we have a large saloon, dining area. We have it's an open galley, so you can see into the galley. So you always know the food is prepared, and the house girls are always clean. You can see how everything's being prepared, and you get to chat with them. How often have you been on a dive boat and the food's just come out of a dark room and you've got no idea what's been going on behind that door? I like to be a little bit more open and make sure that everyone can see what's coming in and out. So, we got a toilet on the upper level as well. There's obviously a toilet on the dive deck with showers. Nitrox air on board the boat. Modern facilities, USB chargers in the room, international plug sockets to take everyone's different plugs, so no adapters required. What else have we got? We've got a dive tender, which holds 8 divers or 10 divers at a time. It's a 10-metre rigid inflatable with twin outboards on the back of it, which she can go at a good pace. And she's great. Yeah, she's great. Great boat to dive out of. She's got a full dive ladder, very easy to climb in and out of the water with. It's not one of the rubber inflatable ones which you've got to try and pull yourself over.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. Here we go. Where else? Outside areas. We've got an outside back there area, and then we've got a full sunroof, which takes up the entire top deck. The vessel's 27 metres long and 9 metres wide.
It's a beauty.
It's a good boat. It really is a good boat.
Yeah. I do remember it coming, or you kind of advertising that it was coming into Papua New Guinea. I was rather excited about it. And like you say, then COVID hit us. So the routes that you're doing at the moment are in and around the islands and down to Milne Bay. You're planning on doing a little bit of cheeky exploratory work?
Yeah. So over time, everything changes slightly. There is so much of Papua New Guinea which has not been dived, or it may have been dived, but not by me, and it's not commercially run. And so there's a couple of routes I've got I've got planned for the upcoming years. One of them is a east coast down New Island. So there's loads of little islands running down there. I'm only doing one of those a year, and I want to try and explore. That's more of the South Pacific side of Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my map now. Did you say that was the east coast of New Island?
Yeah. So you see Lahire and all of the little islands down the side there.
Yeah.
And reef systems and all bits and pieces. I believe there could be some interesting diving down that side of the island.
Definitely. I mean, look at those. I'll have to put these into the podcast, and so people can have a look at them as well. But those channels that you can see in the seabed are massive.
Yep. Everyone loves the channel.
There's got to be some good currents going through there.
Mm-hmm. That's it. We'll be running down there, running from Kavieng round to Rabaul. That's it. Walindi Rabaul is one of our regular mid-year itineraries to get away from the winter cold in Australia. We run that. And where else? So many buts and ers. It's ridiculous. It's all editable. So heading out to WWII and beyond. So this is my idea that, yes, the diving the Farbers is fantastic, but there is also great diving out at the WWII Islands. And I've been sneaking out a little bit further over the last couple of months to open up a couple of reefs which we've not done before. There's the island out there, which is uninhabited, and there's a couple of safe anchorages around, and so it's unfished. It's in the middle of nowhere, and there's a large sand cay out there. From the small experience that we've had halfway to the island, we've been jumping in, cracking the plastic bottle, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you've seen it done. And we've been mobbed by sharks. On average, we've been getting 12 plus grey reefies swimming around, and 3-4 silver tips coming in and investigating. And at that point, I tell the guys to crack the bottle some more, and they just look at me like I'm an idiot and offer it to me. And it's like, well, you bloody do it. And it's like, no. And we've been finding some really good diving out there. I'm hoping Don's got some cracking shots. He was on the last charter with us where we did a couple of them. And, we found one, call it middle of nowhere. And the other one is the middle of nowhere. And then the other one, still trying to work out names, obviously, for them all. There's one which is just like the castle. It's like starts from 40 metres, soft corals all over this huge pinnacle coming up to sort of 15 metres of water. And it's a soft coral ridge running down, and then this healthy, magnificent coral everywhere. I'm hoping that it's going to turn out to be a ray cleaning station. We've only done one. Big currents come through there, and they've got to get cleaned somewhere.
Hey, I'm gonna mention a name of an island here, and I'm gonna edit it out. So sorry, listeners, you're not gonna hear it. Dan, are you talking around? That's it for part 1, folks. Stay tuned for part 2 and more exciting episodes. And don't forget, add us in your library so you get notified with each episode drop. Bye for now.
This is Scuba Goat Under the Sea, the podcast for the inquisitive diver.